Nice.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this live streaming AMA session about crypto art, hosted by Ephimera and blockchain Hanoi. Um, we have the pleasure today to speak about crypto arts and NFTs and how blockchain technology is revolutionizing this and how these new types of digital assets can revolutionize an industry. So all like art in general, and so we're going to be speaking a bit about the problems that this new technology is solving. How is the industry growing, and how is the market evolving? What is the projection for the market, and what are the advantage of these new tools? So today we have a very global panel. We have people from the America, South America, Europe, Asia, Africa. And we are from here from Hanoi. So you have Betty Pallard, French, Vietnamese. We have JJ from Ephimera. We have Barbara from Italy, but actually she's in Switzerland. Then we have Osinachi from Nigeria. We have Boris Ayub, as known as Mariano as well, from Argentina. So I'm very happy to be today with you guys. I would like to start with a brief introduction from every single person here in order for us to talk and to make people understand who we are and where we are standing and how we get to this AMA. So JJ, do you want to start?
Sure. So I'm one of the co-founders of Ephimera. Ephimera is a marketplace for lens-based art, and it's a marketplace for NFTs. So all the art that's created on the platform, they're all NFTs. The NFTs live on Ethereum, and the art lives on IPFS. So the whole system is decentralized. My personal background with crypto started in like 2010. I used to day trade Bitcoin, and then basically through a couple working with different startups in the tech space, I realized that I don't want crypto to just be a hobby anymore. I want it to be what I'm doing full time. And then I worked out with an exchange briefly, and then I decided about a year and a half ago that the only thing that matters to me right now are NFTs. I think that that's going to be the future. I didn't know if it was going to be art or real estate or what, but I knew that that's all I wanted to work on. And here we are, a year and a half later. Ephimera has launched, and we're really excited about it. And I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, thank you very much. Can I ask you what this GJ stands for?
John Jeffrey.
John Jeffrey. Okay.
Yeah, but only the government calls me that. Everyone calls me.
Okay. Osinachi, we want to know about you.
All right. Yeah. Everyone, my name is Osinachi. I'm in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm a crypto artist. I make my art using Microsoft Word. I got into the crypto art space around 2018. And the first platform was Rare Art, which were like the pioneers in terms of NFT art. That was where I got on. From there, I got on other platforms like Super Rare, Portion, Maker's Place, Mystic Gateway, Think Art, and Rarible. Basically, my art is more about personal experiences told through the lens of figurative portraiture. I like to tell stories as it concerns myself as a Nigerian as an African, as an Igbo person, and also as a human being, you know.
Nice.
Nice, awesome. Barbara.
Well, me, I'm quite new in crypto because I think I heard of it only in 2018. It is so late, but I went straight to read the Antonopoulos book because I wanted to know what's the things. so so I don't know, new and with a lot of possibility because I really like to look this direction always. And so even if it's late, then I started crypto art because this is my work anyway. I cannot say it really work because okay, it's not that kind of word that I don't want really to use it, but just to understand. And I went crypto on super rare first time, and then because I have a project that is Scar Kisses in English, and it's a series of portrait of eating processes, and this is the first thing that went crypto of my heart, and then well, it was like a flow and all experiment and research went on it. I decided just to don't. Me too. I decided I'm not interested in anything else because in crypto you have a world to experiment. I found that many people interesting, friends following from. I want to see near, but near is strange on as but I follow the project Dada Art because I think this is awesome and full of many emotion. Also, emotion is something that is in my art. I'm interested on how emotion works, how dreams works. This is mostly my interest, and healing processes also. So I was so happy that I've seen the Ephimera launch from behind. So because this was the first time to see something from the beginning, and this is really exciting, I think, because you can really see a project how it develops. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful community with a lot of great ideas and excellent capacity. I mean,
Awesome.
why not stay there?
Thank you very much. Boris, tell us a
Thank
bit.
you, everyone. Nice to hear from you. I go by Boris, the same way like JJ, only Mariano Lopez Hermida uses, and the government uses that name, but that's cool. I'm here somehow representing several projects because all my work, all my activism, all my thinking is always in a group kind of state. So I'm here. I'm founder somehow. I don't really like the term, but I'm kind of founder of Deep Web Gallery. That is my main project that I would love to share with you guys. But I'm also part of. I need to share. I'm also part of CPU. That is a contemporary art gallery here in Buenos Aires. I'm part of the Storm Network. That also is a joint venture of technology and creativity all around the world. I'm part of Storm also. But the main thing that I'm doing related with art, I'm a contemporary art curator. I have the chance to study in Argentina and abroad, also in London, in University Arts of London, and I'm trying to take curatorship into the crypto world because I work near to the crypto space for more than 5 years now. So, and given the fact that I have an extensive practice in the curatorship field, I'm trying to merge somehow more than, like I can see here, artist working with crypto. I'm more a curator working with crypto. And the thing that I'm trying to do the most is around this project of mine that is called Deep Web Gallery. And I'm trying to think Not directly like trying to create art into a new technology or a new way of finding new markets and new forms of trading and commercializing the arts, but I'm trying to think the better notion of value and how we are understanding value on contemporary art and contemporary art practice. And so maybe I don't need to go too far, and that's pretty much what I'm doing and the kind of work and the way that I'm approaching my work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariano. Betty, please, you go.
Hi, guys. So, as Leon mentioned, we got together part of Hanoi blockchain as a community, like leaders. Separately of that, I'm running a branding agency for 8 years in Vietnam. Depends on the projects, but I will have different roles. Sometimes I'm the creative director. Sometimes I'm the brand strategist. Sometimes we do different events, which is related to marketing. And it happens that we've been doing a lot into art. Me personally, I'm an art collector. I used to be based also in Switzerland. And moreover, we've been exploring different platforms in Vietnam as a developed country to connect and to give more access to art, bringing art closer to the viewers on ground, not necessarily online, except different tools like 3D or virtual, whatever tour. But so far, yes, what I'm active is more on ground platform. We are actually sitting in a creative space. It's an art lounge, 500 meters square, where people they can have coffee, but also monthly, bi-monthly, having a different opportunity to get close with the toppest of artists in Vietnam. So I've been curating also for 10 years different art projects. And
Nice.
and I have probably in Vietnam a community base of artists, like around 3,000 artists.
Nice.
So as you said, I'm also interested about the notion of value of art, not only as an investment product, but also as the base of a country national brand value.
Nice.
I don't know how do you see the perspective, but from the perspective of Vietnam now, we are in a moment of time that the average income population have the willing to access to art. So it pushes the topmost of the segment of population to come back to something really important, which is to restore the national treasure. So we're having different players, we're having different people that are interested to recover some missing part into the process of creativity, but at the level of the country. Vietnam, as you know, has been really impacted by the different wars, and in the same time, a lot of our national treasure were destroyed or were missing. Missing.
Yeah.
Probably somewhere. So there are also a group of philanthropists and investors behind that are really willing to reach those people all around the world who might have in their hands or in their knowledge some part of our national treasure. So that's why I'm participating today, and I wanted also to bring probably also a different vision about what I call artivism, because we've been quite active on for different process platforms related to environment, related to education and access to culture, access to art, by reaching different artists that we're going to put much more active on different social issues, social inclusion, environmental issues. So then art can be also used as a weapon. So this is also what I'm representing also today. I think different activists.
Nice.
Thank you, Betty. It's my turn. I'm Leon. I'm from Argentina. I'm actually part of the Storm Network as well with Boris. But in the Storm Network, Boris is more Mariano, I think. So I'm a developer originally. I studied computer science, but along the time and when I entered into the blockchain world, I started to work more in product. So I started to design and make reality different software products from very different verticals. So I started to be a designer as well, and I'm super interested into arts. Since I've been building this community with Betty and with several other very active community members here in Hanoi, in Vietnam. So I entered into this like stream of crypto art and all what it means, the creations of NFTs. So today, my idea, apart from moderate this, is like to talk more about the technical parts of the NFTs and to bring that kind of insight, right? I think we have a very multidisciplinary panel today, right? Like we have people from more of a marketing background. We have like totally artists. We have creative directors. We have designers, and I don't exactly know what's your background, JJ, but like
Product. I do product management.
Product management as well, like me. That's nice. So I would like to start with a very broad question, and it's like, what's your understanding of NFTs and what do you think it brings so much value to the industry? And I would like each one of you to talk about that, right? Because you have been involved from different perspectives. So I think it's very interesting that we start from there, right? JJ, you want to start?
Sure. I mean, to me, the exciting thing about NFTs is that for the first time ever, we can create digital scarcity. So for the first time ever, we can have a file or an object that exists digitally, it's digitally native, that doesn't tie itself to a physical object, but is still scarce. And that, I think, is really important and exciting. You know, some of you have talked about the idea of value and the value in art, and especially the value in crypto art. Without scarcity, there is no value. You know, we can all download a picture of the Mona Lisa and copy paste it on our hard drive 1 million times, and now we all have 1 million copies of the Mona Lisa. But it's still has value, even though there's that many copies of it, because the original is still sitting in the Louvre. And I think that NFTs bring that idea to digital objects in a way that really only existed before in closed off ecosystems, like in, you know, a video game. There might be one really rare sword or something in a video game. But that was really the only kind of scarce items that existed digitally. And so that, to me, the key of NFTs is digital scarcity.
That's true, and that's a very, very important point. Like, blockchain solutions are allowing to create this digital reference where you can just own once something creates a lot of value for any kind of digital representation. I think you told before that this crypto art or digital art in Ephimera is being saved in IPFS. Can it be?
Yeah, so the thing with Ethereum is that it's really expensive to store data on Ethereum. And so, you know, we can store text on Ethereum quite cheaply, but to store binary files, so things like art or movies, is really, really expensive. It would cost, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars to store a movie or even some of Barbara's art on the blockchain directly. So what we do is we come up with a solution, and that solution is there's the NFT. The NFT has token metadata attached to it, and in that metadata is a link to the art. Now, we could have chosen to store that art on our own servers, but that would still be centralized. If anything were to happen to us, then something could happen to the art, and we don't want that. So what we're doing, and what other platforms in the space do, is we store it on IPFS. And IPFS is kind of like it's like a global hard drive, where one link can link to a piece of art, but you don't know where that art is stored. So that art could be stored on any node in the world that replicates that art. And so that's the risk. What's that?
That doesn't come with the risk. Like if you have it like decentralized, that image can be lost at some point, right? I don't know how that works, but how is that solved in your platform?
Well, so with the IPFS system, there's a concept of pinning. So all of the IPFS nodes can replicate data from other IPFS nodes. But after a certain amount of time, if there hasn't been anyone accessing those files, then they can get cleaned. And so the way around that is you pin a file to a node. And so if you have a node and then you pin your file, you know that the IPFS software will never clean it. And so what this allows is that for really, for things that are getting uploaded for the first time, we're the only ones pinning it. But as they become more popular and more used, then they get replicated across more and more IPFS nodes. And so it becomes more and more decentralized. So it's not a perfect solution, but it's a better start than us just storing the files on our hard drives.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Mariano, how are you working with NFTs in this deep web market?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can I go a little bit like before and then make a zoom out and friendly somehow friendly disagree with my new friend JJ here, because I think that it might be an interesting conversation, also to onboard everyone and the rest, and hear from Barbara and from Osinachi. I hope that I'm pronouncing it well. You said that, first of all, you mentioned about digital scarcity, like we agree on a technical level, and then you said that somehow without scarcity there is no notion of value, right? Like you said something like that, and like I was thinking about that, and I don't know if I agree, because I think that we are confusing a little bit price with value here. And when you said about like, do you really think that the price of an artwork is pairing the value of an artwork? Because for me, like the whole idea of the crypto world and how and what crypto is doing for us as a society is giving us a second chance to try to rethink the bare fetish of the merchandise, like the bare abstraction of what we consider value and how value is structured. I really think that there is a chance here around us not to replicate the same logics of scarcity that we use on the fiat money world, at least market around the art world. And maybe we have a chance to re-understand, like how are we understanding first ownership and second value, you know, like, and maybe I think that's a playground that is not set yet. So I wouldn't go so fast into this, like Walter Benjamin used to say, this notion of aura, you know, like this notion of the uniqueness of the artwork. So no, I would definitely have some second thoughts around that idea. I don't know if somebody wants to comment, or do you want me to go into what I think around, like how I work with NFTs?
Yeah, I could jump in there. I think that, yeah, you're totally right. You know, price and value are not totally identical. And so I guess when I'm talking about value, because we run a marketplace. And so generally speaking, when I'm talking about value, I'm talking about prices and transaction values. Now, that being said, I think that the interesting thing about the crypto markets is compared to traditional art market, is that when you're transacting on the crypto market, you're transacting exclusively ownership, and you're not transacting on any other kind of abstract idea. Like if you're buying a painting from Sotheby's, you're also buying the right to control who views that painting. Because if you put that painting in your living room, no one else can see that, right? Whereas with crypto art, anyone can see any of these files at any time. So the idea that the right to view is not part of that value transaction. And I think that that's interesting because it forces us to think about art in a different way, because there are these different, layers of these different types of values that are getting transacted implicitly in the physical world that we never really thought about. I think that art has value in an abstract sense, regardless of whether or not it's for sale, or how many copies exist.
Agree.
But I do think that in that sense, it's a lot harder to define, what is value, because it can be quite, it could be you get more into the kind of the philosophical and the phenomenological side of value, and that's it's harder to kind of to get everybody to agree on. But I don't disagree with what you're saying.
Amazing. Thank you, JJ.
Like JJ said, the concept of value in art, not just in crypto art, is quite complicated. Occasionally on Twitter, where you have most of the players in the NFT space, the conversations and arguments about value and crypto art come up. Crypto art or NFT art is supposed to be a space where we don't do what is done in the traditional artwork, which is things like flipping an artwork and just keeping it to yourself and not allowing others view it, have access to it, just because you own it, like JJ mentioned. But the truth is that we are still welcoming people from the traditional artwork, and they are coming with the same notion that they have from the traditional artwork into the crypto art space. And that is like recycling the idea that you have in the traditional art space in the crypto art space, which is a problem. You can say that value does not equal pricing in crypto art, but in reality, it does. I could mention a few crypto artists who are actually big in terms of the value of their work. Once they put out something, it sells for big bucks. A collector who comes into the space to collect for the sake of aesthetics, is beaten when they don't have the money to acquire these works on the blockchain. And that is a problem. So when in terms of value, I mean, we are still working on it. The space is still very young, but as it is right now, value is tied to the price of a piece in the crypto art space, in my opinion.
Interesting.
I can maybe add something. I don't have big theories, but I have some feeling that I want to express in crypto space, because about the value, and especially when it's connected with price, is something that really did much harm to people. I mean, create barriers, create differences from people, from person to another person. It's almost impossible to get caught in this situation where somebody has more, somebody has less, and I mean, it's quite difficult not to feel something, and sometimes not good. So the freedom that you have to redraw all the value system and to think about these things, because it's a new place and we talk a lot one to each other. We have the possibility to change this. For example, I got this feeling this Christmas to have NFT swap with friends. I mean, it was not something with it was something familiar. I mean, we did so smart, because it's like gives possibility to have more you want to share, because when you get to know each other, then it's like, if I feel better and you feel better, we all together we feel better, and that can bring really to something new, but it's not so easy because we have to program it. So in a way, uh, there is many work. No, oh, sorry for my English. There is much work to do. I mean, but I think it's an occasion, and every experiment on this is welcome. From sell high, sell low. I mean, we can do everything with this NFT, no?
Yeah, what I would like to say that anyway, I don't think that there is any controversy between traditional art or crypto art. I would call it it's a kind of like a alternative. It's good to explore on different platforms anyway, because if we sometimes I have this impression that there is like people that once you touch this kind of art, so then you just like lost something, or lost some different threads that are like kind of like an exclusive or part of. So I think that I think that exploring it's also part of the journey of an artist. So now if there's the opportunity to go on crypto art, you can still be a traditional artist and sometimes also go on this kind of platform. So I would call it's like much more an alternative base. Or you are a crypto artist, and then after you become a traditional artist. Why not?
Totally.
So there's no debate on the fact, because some people they will go purist. I don't know if you say that in English. It's like if you're pure traditional artist, then you should be doing this, and this is made for a certain type of people. So we try to profile the artist, or to understand probably also the topics or things like that. So so just to react on what you have said, I see opportunities anyway on both traditional art itself and crypto art, of course.
I agree actually with what you're saying, and I really think that there shouldn't be that kind of, and even like the category of crypto art is something that we can just use as a funny thing, or just a buzzword to I don't know, to quickly understand what we're talking about. But I would definitely not take it super serious. Just to comment one extra thing on the conversation that we were having around value and how I approach, because if not, it's just a critique, and I'm not saying how I approach like the main problem that I'm trying to face. For example, like there is one of my work that I shared in an exhibition here, on a solo exhibition here on an art space. That is it's a miner bot. Actually, it's like a very simple miner bot that is mining Monero constantly with a Raspberry. And the thing is, like, again, when I'm trying to think value, what I'm trying to think here, value and the art market, is like, okay, how much is this work going to cost somehow? Because this is an artwork that is going to create money. And how are we going to put a price into an artwork that creates money somehow? And actually, it's funny because like everything that I spend on the exhibition, I did a miner bot and I did a trading bot in different Raspberries devices and whatever. And the funny thing is that 1 month after the exhibition, I recovered all the money that I spent on the exhibition, and somehow I didn't even need to sell the artworks, because I was already recovering the money that I invested in the artworks. So that is the kind of approach that I'm trying to do with this. Like again, like NFTs are putting themselves, yeah,
self-sustainable art.
maybe, and maybe you're putting the market a little bit aside in that kind of explorations or experimentations. That it could be interesting also.
Now to evaluate, I mean, like just to wrap up, what it's a question and a remark, and at the same time, basically, it's like how can we value things, right? Before
Yeah, totally.
Even before we call it's art, right?
Yeah, but art has been challenging us. Art is a practice that has been challenging society from the beginning on how do we praise and how do we value things.
Yeah. So this can take ages and years because it's a different perspective. But we can go to the core, right? For example, you just said that we can put a value from the numbers of viewers, for example. Okay, even though you create an art and you don't want a lot of people to see it, but at least you can create the willing to see it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like in marketing, right? You want people to be thirsty about it, to be
desire.
The desire, right? So at the end, if you're having like millions of people having this desire, but at the end there's only one person who really saw the picture, who cares? It's not the issue, right? But I think from the viewer point of view, the number of viewers it's a good entry point. I think it's a good entry point. Otherwise, it's you can call anything art. I think that art has probably, in my sense, a purpose that is really important. It's like how you're gonna help the viewer to question something.
Agree.
So yeah, to question, or to add or to support, or to really like there's something in the air. And so you're having the collective intelligence, okay, you're having the individual intelligence. So sometimes I assume that there are some arts that probably one or two or a group of individuals might get aligned with some questions that what you're seeing or listening or touching is really like moving you in a very efficient way, okay, without the techniques. And I don't think, because I believe that anyway, even though you go digital, this is the same techniques about the central point of view, how you get out of the piece of whatever area that you're supposed to watch and look. So there are I think that a common base about drawing and about like understanding the colors. But I would be much more interested is about the questions.
Agree.
What am I watching? Is this only questioning me or a group of individuals, some people that can understand art? So it's like a big question that is collectively getting the value, I think, on a different scale, for example. So this is why certain artists that are really activists, they can create that. So
Agreed.
in a sudden with like I don't know pieces of little things. I'm thinking about like a Ai Weiwei or Banksy, for example, out of Noblu on the walls, but because he just like dropped something that collectively we're gonna be moved. You want it or you do not. You don't want. There's something like I would not say universal, but at that specific point, a lot of people say, yeah, because it's been 6 months. I've been having the same thing, and so it's about the understanding and the filter that the author wants to move people to get into good questions or to make people feeling this way or this way. So it's all about the efficiency. Okay, so the return might be the number of viewers, the number of talks, likes, click, and etc. The same way that we can measure probably, for example, a marketing campaign, right? You want people to listen, to having heard about you, heard about your art, heard about your question, heard about the form or whatever colors you wanted to put. So just an entry like that about the viewers, because you've been pushing, you've been putting this question, I think, like Lady JJ, about the viewers on ground or on digital. So, but I think we can list like at least 10 things that might be interesting. Also, accessibility of the art. But this viewer thing is really important.
Yeah. I don't know, like when we were talking about value and price of those things, I think that can be a very, very long conversation. But there's a very interesting thing here, and is that this new technology allows the creation of a new digital digital investment, digital asset class, right? Where you give people the opportunity today to, instead of investing money on like Bitcoin or like any other like stocks or whatever, you allow them to digitally invest and put their money into art that can be appreciated in a different way, right? So before you had this like way where you are a collector of art and then you go and you, or you can be a speculator,
Sure.
and now this new digital assets comes to have the ownership of that either physical or digital piece of art, and also a different way of interaction with art and with the price of the art and with the value of the art as well, right? The appreciation is completely different just because of that.
Yeah, but I understand that. But so far, you on the both world, I think you still need to have a proper branding strategy. To me, you even though it's like a refuge, like a refuge value. Okay, I'm having a little bit of money. I want to grow money on this kind of value. But if the person who is supposed to manage, this marketplace, for example, JJ,
At the end of the day, it's
you
offer
create
and
also
demand,
you
right?
have to create added value, right? So then the on the top of the art, right? Otherwise, nobody knows about me. Nobody can even reach me, or can even have the willing or the desire to buy my art. Then nobody knows. Nobody knows that the art is even on that can be accessible or bought. So I think to reach any customer or buyer, you still need to do a lot, some steps. Cannot be cut off, I think.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, but you have new ways to introduce your art and your assets into the marketplace.
Sure. But then
and-
this job still need to happen, right? Am I wrong or?
From my experience as an artist, the value for a piece, I think the conversation starts with viewership, like you mentioned, Betsy. The number of people who have seen this work. I have people who email me, come into my DM on Instagram, and they say, "Hey, I love your work." They may not really have the resources to actually acquire these works, but they come and tell me they love my work. I think for an artist, that is a starting point in terms of the value for your work. And then we are very sensitive species, all human beings. And because of that, when there's a sort of buzz, everybody wants to know what is going on. So if an artist can manage to create, let's say, a publicity stunt or something like that, the value for their work would skyrocket in terms of pricing and in terms of viewership and appreciation. An example, of course, is Banksy, where person A is talking about Banksy, person B is talking about Banksy. Of course, it skyrockets. In crypto art space, you cannot blame collectors for putting in their money and wanting more money from a piece that they've collected, because of course they need to recoup their money. In the space, there are about, I can say, 2% of collectors in the crypto art space collect artwork for the sake of how much it has touched them, not because they want to make more money from this piece.
I'll jump in here. I think that there's a couple things that we've talked about. One, Betty, to your point, I do think that what we're seeing with crypto art that you don't see in the traditional art world is that all the artists basically have to fight for themselves, right? That there's no structure right now for people like, curators or galleries, artist management. I mean, it used to be that if you were an established traditional artist, you would do your art and then you would hand it over to your primary representing gallery. And then that person...
They are, but they're just under the radar. But they are.
Yeah,
it's not that they don't exist. It's not that they don't exist. It's that it's not like right now, if you're a painter and you want to sell your work, like a traditional painter, sure, you can go and sell on Instagram, but like there's an entire industry, like, over 90% of all the work that's high value, high price work that's being sold in the world is being sold through a dealer or a gallery or an auction house. And that's not the case in crypto art, where, yes, they're sold through marketplaces, but as the marketplace doesn't really curate the art, we don't, we try to promote, Ephimera tries to promote our artists, but, what we do in retweeting people and creating little pamphlets and info sessions and stuff like that is different than what the value that a gallery or a representative, an agent, a dealer does. And I think that industry doesn't exist yet in the crypto art space. And that's why we're seeing these kind of varying levels of success between different artists, because it's really the hype train of social media. And if you're more, it's a popularity contest. Beeple is very popular, and guess what? He sells a lot of money. There's a lot of other artists like that out there. And so I think that, yes, I mean, like Osinachi is represented by Kate Bass Gallery, right? And so I think that, that's there are people out there who are bringing that into the space. And I think that the crypto art space as a whole really undervalues what those people bring to the industry as a whole.
Yeah, sure. I think we're doing. I mean that. I think that both can be amplified if both sides of the problem, are strengthening. One more time, that's why I said in the very beginning, like from any point of view, you can see that the other point of view is an alternative. I really believe that if, like right now, all the things that are happening on ground also gets more reaching, more engaging process, right? To open also art and bring, open the art access and also bring the art closer to people. So then on your marketplace, you might have more people, and etc. I might be the owner of and crypto art, but also like a nice space that we are surrounded. I mean, like one more time, it's really going on in parallel. I don't believe that it's going to move totally in one side or whatsoever. I think that it takes his source from the ground. One more time, we've been doing. I've been doing also a technology platform. The reality of that is like what is behind, what is the core, and then that's why it is in your best chance to even amplify what you're doing by also watching what the other galleries and artists are facing on ground. I really think that there is that should be, in my sense, the strategy.
I think I would love to add two things. I don't know, Barbara, if you want to say something. I don't want to steal your chance to talk.
Well, in this case, I have not much words because I am quite a little bit trying to stay away from too much market. I am like, no, my brand is no branding at all like this. I feel like I'm just trying. I enjoy so much this possibility in crypto art that the immediate that you can show immediately what you did, and like trying to not write bios, not think to the past. Like trying to enjoy a big sphere of things and try to be like a radar for something different. So I cannot really say something about.
That's cool.
Listening here and there to see if there is something that I never heard about, and think in my brain, oh, this can be really new, disruptive, something that change things or not. And like
good. Then if Leon and Betty let me, I would love to add something to the conversation that we are having. Is two things. One is I think that we are framing the conversation only in the art creation and the artist, and like something, for example, like my project, the Deep Web Gallery that I'm trying to move forward is, for example, I'm trying to frame the like other parts of the art community. And what about the curators? What about the art handlers? What about like all the people working? Where is that? And I'm working with a work hypothesis that is very simple to frame. I'm working with a work hypothesis that says art community is at the same time first demonetized and second overrated. Like we are going to find like there's a whole part of the art community that is 100% demonetized. And even if we make artists to sell their work on amazing new technology-driven art markets, we're going to see that there's still a lot of people working for free in the art community. And I really think that that's a problem, because that leads first, of course, the unemployment and a lot of economical issues that we face. But then we are still giving more chance to the people that already have money to be active in the art world, because they don't need to work for the money. They can work for free. So this whole thing of demonetizing the art community, I think that it serves the concentration of power and money that steals something like a big power inside the art community. That is something that I would love to say, like this thing of the art community being demonetized and at the same time overrated. Like we see a lot of hyper-paid curators and hyper-paid artists that makes no sense whatsoever in relation to what they do. At least that's my humble opinion. And maybe that's enough for now. Then the second thing I can address later, but I think that's enough something for you to, I don't know, to digest, for me to share.
And what do you think are the barriers of entry for these different other groups of people that might not be involved, or we were not?
That's good. That's very interesting, and that takes us to maybe a little bit like other parts of the crypto opportunities, and that are not only NFT. Like how are we thinking around tokenizing other parts of the art practice that is not only the art creation? Like how can we welcome blockchain technologies or the social tokens, like we know that it's been a lot during this year and past year, and how are we going to give to active members of the community somehow a recompensation of what we're doing? And maybe that's something also interesting. And one thing extra, like when we're thinking of the supposedly freedom that we have as an artist, that we can create, I don't know, an NFT art, and we can put it on a marketplace, and then you're selling. And I mean, like somehow that seems like a democratizing movement. Then we're going to see that first that goes directly somehow is going to have some issues with this scarcity thing, because we are going to face that old problem of what is art. That we know that in contemporary theoretical art, that is a question that we are trying not to make. It's not a fashionable question to make in contemporary theoretical art, to try to rethink the nature of art. But even you like it or not, like this division and differentiation between what is art and what is not is something that always will come up. It will always pop. Like is everything that you, JJ, putting online on your marketplace art? Like who is going to call that? Of course, we can play the game of everything is art, and we can definitely approach that. And I'm 100% to welcome every kind of expression from anyone. But either way, the notion again of value and price is going to be related with what Betty was also saying, like how the self-promoting artists are playing in with these new rules, because this division between the art and non-art nature of cultural productions is still up there. I think that the question, sadly, is still there.
Thank you for the question.
Sorry.
No. I like this.
Okay.
Yeah, the fact that it's true. If we take it out now, the first introductive like part about like evaluation of art, I think that there is a huge and a big vision that can be I think that re-putting the artist in the central point of a society. Not necessary about like monetizing only, or having this willing to sell. Of course, an artist should be living correctly, even. So I totally agree with that. Right now, and Leon knows about that. We are about to launch a platform, which is a platform that you can transact in equity, and then you can get, because the artist is re-put back into an ecosystem. So if in this ecosystem we can use different token between each other, then at the end the artist is not like for free. The art is not for free, but then you can exchange values. So we have created an index to be able to value token, and then after, in this ecosystem, the artist as the other stakeholders can carry and can hold certain values that can be used anytime that you have a need. So yes, of course, I think that is the most to me important question. But it's not only for artists. With what we have learned recently by all those lockdowns, and that we cannot like travel, and so transactions anywhere are not easy like before. So yes, I think that it's not only the artists. Everybody should be on this ecosystem where we can exchange value, and the artist, as an artist, can produce the art, and the other citizens of the same community can produce other things. Everybody has a value and ability, time also, because into our index, time is the base of the asset calculation. So as long as your time is well valued, I think that you can exchange it.
Yeah, basically, I agree with you in terms of saying that other players can come into the space aside from artists, because right now it seems as if all the focus is on the artists. That's a good thing. We can have galleries, we can have curators, we can have critics. I know a few in the space, but then it also brings about the danger of gatekeeping, which is one of the problems in the traditional art space. So where you have people who have the power, who have gotten so much power that you can't get to where you want to be as an artist, don't go through them. That becomes a problem. So how do we deal with that in the crypto art space when the space has become so big that we start having gatekeepers? Because believe it or not, it is happening already, although very subtle. People who come out and then they praise an artist on Twitter, and this artist drops on a certain platform, and the artist sells for mad bucks. It is happening. That's the way it starts. So how do we deal with the issue of gatekeepers when we start having it as a problem in the state?
You want to answer to that?
I think it's a big problem that it will not be deleted with any platform, right? Like that's a problem that will be always, like the replication and the possibility of creating something and more in the digital world that is equal to the person that actually did it. It's very difficult to control. I think there's several tools that are appearing in order to somehow help that, but at the end of the day, and has a lot of relations with what you were saying before, right?
Yeah.
Is how do you sell it, right? Is it how you present the things? At the end of the day, say who sells better is the one that is getting the money, right? But I think also that's one of the reasons why all these platforms are important, is because they are giving tools to all these people that is doing art by the fact of doing art, because they just feel amazed with what they are doing, and they are doing that for themselves, but they also want to share something and to be part and to be sustained somehow. They have other tools to also commercialize their art, and they don't have to do all the work, right? You have different other actors that can help you, drive that through digital platforms. right? So you don't have to have
It's
your
like
own
more,
website. You don't have to have
more
your own landing
democracy
page.
on access, right?
Yeah.
Well, the open nature of blockchains is both a blessing and a curse, right? Because art in itself
Agree.
is really a differentiated commodity. Everybody wants art, but every art's different, right? And so I think that that's ultimately, at least you'll never be. At least there's no gatekeeper. There's always going to be gatekeeper to mindshare, right? To who people are thinking about. Unfortunately, we just can't think about every single artist in the space at the same time. But there's never going to be a gatekeeper to creation. And unlike, I think, with the traditional art world, anybody can paint, and buy paint and paint on a canvas, but there's always going to be a gatekeeper to distribution, where in blockchain, there's no gatekeeper to distribution. So it's really just, as long as you have the ability to create and no one's stopping you from creating, then I think that's the first step to democratization. And then, we have, I think that with the way that something that a problem we haven't solved yet is the viewing of the art, right? Right now, how do you view NFTs?
I was going to ask you about it. Yeah.
So, you can buy, I just bought a small parcel in CryptoVoxels, and I'm trying to build a little gallery for the NFTs that I own. But, CryptoVoxels is a limited platform. Decentraland is a limited platform.
Yeah, I have there.
And there's something that's not as compelling about just scrolling through art on a website or an Instagram feed, right? There's something that's not as, where it's either lacking context or it's lacking, it's not tactile. So whether that's we're all going to buy digital art frames and hang them on their walls, or there's something else, or it's VR, I'm not really sure. But I think that solving, to Osinachi's point, solving the viewing problem and the presenting problem, if we can so we've democratized the creation, if we can democratize the viewership, well, then I think that we're getting somewhere.
Interesting.
How can we tackle that? Like, I'm super interested on the topic, but I don't have a lot of ideas on that. Like in Ephimera marketplace, you can show your collection of crypto art into a tablet or something like that, right? Or like a big screen.
So, I mean, we did a lot of work on building the artwork detail page in a way that it will, show off the artwork. We also have some features that other platforms don't have, like we have a vision board where you can add additional images, kind of like instead of a written text description, it's like a visual description. So it could be, this could be pictures of, if your final art piece is a montage of photographs, the vision board could be the individual photographs, or it could be a picture of your studio, of yourself, of your muse, right? So I think that adding that kind of context helps a lot with how we're consuming the art. It also helps with value as well. But I think that bringing those ideas to something like a virtual, ultimately, I do think that the CryptoVoxels and the Decentraland is really the future of exploring digital assets, because, to me, they're digitally native. We might as well create a digital world for them to live in. And I think that really kind of helps us as human beings who are used to seeing physical spaces. If we can create an analogy to a physical space in which to place the art, even if it's purely digital, I think that's the first step. It'll start with replicating what we have in the real world, but it's hard to say how it's going to continue after that.
Yeah, right. And so many different kinds of arts can appear. Talking about that, if you talk about like VR and the potential of VR in order to see digital art, I say how many things and crazy things you can do in a world that can be totally fantasy, right?
That's super interesting.
Art is fantasy, right? Isn't art fantasy by nature?
It is.
you're gonna use basically. I mean, like it allows artists to use different. I mean, like techniques and technologies also to create the art. Of course, on digital, it will be different, of course. And then you're gonna have an experience, a digital experience also. So it's fine. I think that it's fine. There are some people that now, if you want to convert more people on your marketplace, on your market space, it's also creating. I mean, like connection point. You know, I think that this can be also something that should be thought out. Connecting the two things, because there is a journey, right? There is a journey. You know, we're not eating only one food. So to me, it's like more technique, more platforms, more thing to get to art. There are some people they might be you know, for example, Ephimera. I used back in France to open a concert that was really ephemeral, means that it doesn't exist after. You know, so the uniqueness of the moment allows you also to sell ticketings like at a level that you cannot even imagine. So everything is possible.
Yeah.
Not the fact that you're going to own it forever and there's a system like allowing you to do that. There are also the reverse way that nothing is going to guarantee anything. It's only your memory. You're not even allowed to take pictures and things like that. It's really ephemeral. So, I mean, and also what I would like to say, because we do also some intervention into art school, and this question is always coming back. You know, how the artist can make a living, how the artist can reach an audience. It's like any job, man. You good. No, but it's true. We cannot say the opposite. Of course, we can amplify access. We can make access bigger, stronger, more transparency. But I'm not sure that we should always think that we're having the same chances and the same ability.
No, I agree. Actually, I totally agree with you, Betty. But I will also add to that there are some structural problems and barriers into how we structure even like society, and again the notion of value. Because if we are thinking about art, or even if you're thinking about any regular job, there are gender issues, there are racial issues, there are political bias. There are a lot of situations that maybe don't leave everyone in the same. I know that you agree, Betty. I'm sure, because actually I could definitely say.
When we set up, for example, marketing campaign, you know that, for example, a viewer online, his value is different than a viewer on ground, because bringing somebody physically to a spot, of course, it takes more effort, right? It takes more organization. It takes human resource. It takes people who really deliver something, an experience, a space, the thing. So that's why normally the way that you evaluate the media value, you know, of course, on ground is one of the highest. And I will even say to you, because the digital almost replaced the on air, right? Because now we want to watch TV whenever we want. We don't want to follow the program, but the on air media value placement is still the highest because of that, because you're having the ephemeral thing. There's only one time slot on this precise channel, right? So it means that in the other side, when you select these people, or you select this content, or you select this thing, there might be a reason. So the on ground, of course, is limited, but it's not only in art; it's for everything. So as long as you can click, what happened at the very beginning when Facebook were just like launching? Okay, one click was like, whoa. Oh, it works, right? Oh, this is new, etc., etc. Right now, you know what is the difference between one click from somebody who is using Facebook in Paris and somebody who is using Facebook in Vietnam, which is the first number one social media? You know the ratio? 1,000.
No.
So if you can get one click from somebody who is in Paris, because they are more Instagram, they are more this, they are more that, they are more on ground, right? They are more on ground experiencer. They don't care much. They open an account, they're not really active. Okay. In Vietnam, we are the level that people that do whatever you can think
anything
online,
Facebook, like.
online can replace, right? So you see a lot of people that like they normally in the Western world we're gonna call them influencers. Here in Vietnam, this is nothing. You get like 200 likes every day, or 300, or 500 likes, or 1,000. What is the level of you becoming an influencer or somebody who has a say, right? Because people are clicking. So it depends also on a lot of things. So it's not because you're going to reach billion people at the same level with same transparency that is going to necessarily help for the crypto art to increase.
I agree.
So,
Really?
so we have to be careful. We have to be careful because we might sell a dream that might not be delivered
Never. Never.
easily.
Only nightmares. Only
Easily,
nightmares.
easily. And of course, having more markets place and etc. Of course, is necessary. Like in the other domain of activity, I can talk about like medical care and a lot of things. We need more means, of course, to access. I will always like put all my forces and strength and focus to always amplify access. But then you access, it doesn't mean that the transaction will be successful as we think. The same way that it's not because you access to school that it means that you're going to be graduated. Look at France. School is for free. We access to one of the best, education that you can imagine. At the end, I'm sorry, but it's not everyone that is going to get graduated. So I just want to make appearances. I know that I know, of course, I support. As I explained, it's good to always have alternatives and explorations and because it's secure. It's secure also from the artist point. I will always put my shoes into to the artist point, and also the people who try, as I've been doing for 20 years, and really actively in Vietnam, on a developed country where people, believe me, they're hustling for so many tiny things in their life, even though they're having money. Get to in the street. So they've been busy with a lot of things. They cannot even focus. So I totally agree on giving access and amplifying any kind of platform, any kind. But then,
I wanted to say something.
because I'm capable to bring them.
Yes, Barbara.
I was thinking about that. One of the things that I like in crypto is the hybrid places, because you really can meet people that maybe I don't know. You met people because all together you make a group because you like unicorns. I mean, but one is growing his food, the other is an artist, and the other one is a programmer. And in these points, great ideas can come out because you can really meet people with different background much more easily than in real life. And
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense where your digital transformation is bringing
A lot.
a big different approach to things where everything just joins digitally, and then like you need to be interested in things in order to have access to them. You will be like prompted with those things like all the time, and then suddenly you might just click and be there and also be part of something different. It's just amazing.
Oh yeah, of course, it's amazing.
what's also amazing, I think that sometimes, you can hear in permaculture talks, that in this position where different things met, then solutions are different. So
Tell them something.
I love now talk with a programmer. I mean, it's crazy. I couldn't think before that you have this feeling with something, because me and programming, I'm two things very far away. But if I can talk then to the same problem, you can find more creativity creative solution. Sorry. But I mean, I was just telling this because in a way I lost the question, the first question, in this process of um, and other hand, I would explain for an example is real Art Tech Miami. They made this exhibition. I was invited, and we met all together in a virtual reality space. And this also was really interesting because we had the connection like in a gallery. We met people that were maybe working around in works with gamer, maybe artist, maybe DJ, programmer, anyone, but the interest was to build something new. So I think no, because
Yeah.
maybe the question was if crypto art is bubble or not, and I think it's not. It's growing.
Yeah, I would say it's a growing market. It's a new market. It's something that is very fresh. And everything in the blockchain today is exploding because um, you have the possibility of transact value or price in a totally different way that you used to do before. And that's super, super, super interesting because you have like in the case of crypto art, you have crypto art collectors that are actually, investors maybe. And they are speculating with the value. And that's super
Yes.
interesting because you have all these new kind of actors entering into, a particular market in a very particular way as well with a very different approach. I would like to talk more about like crypto art collectors and how those things work. And I think this is super interesting because Mariano, you were talking about like your own expositions or how you handle things into the art gallery. And JJ, you were talking about how to manage your own collection. So how do you see these different profiles coming in and who are they, right? Like, because it's like you have new people coming in, right?
Mm-hmm. Totally. JJ, please, if you want to go.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about the crypto space is that when everyone's pseudonymous, it's really it's hard for us to project our expectations on them, right? So when you meet an artist for the first time, it's a name that you haven't seen before. When you meet someone in crypto voxels, their name just could be anonymous. You meet someone in Discord. It's really difficult for us we naturally, when we meet people, we want to project expectations on them about how we think they should act or should be or should do. And so I think that's really the great, what we have right now is the beginning of the great equalization of people, because, there are artists out there who, you wouldn't expect them to have a certain background or to have certain capabilities based on where they went to school or where they grew up. So to me, I think that whether someone's coming in here now, obviously there are people who come in with a lot of money and they show off and they buy up lots of art and then they build a brand around them. There's people like Whale Shark and other people like that, right? And we're learning about them, but we didn't know about them when they first came in. We're only evaluating them purely on their actions, and all of these actions have a history in the ledger. So I think that this isn't I don't really have anything kind of super meaningful to say about it, other than I think that we're really equalizing people here, and ultimately it's our actions that matter. It's not what we look like or where we came from. And I think that that's the really exciting part about what we're doing, is that all these people who are becoming successful and are getting noticed are all, if you had 10 years ago said, oh, there's going to be a digital art wave, who do you think is going to be at the top? Well, who's at the top now is not anybody that we would have predicted. And I think that speaks to the strength of the market and the strength of what we're doing here.
Nice. I have a short one here, and I would love to hear also from the rest of the artists. I will speak now kind of as an artist more than as a curator. And when I was doing this like exhibition, that I was working with the notion of blockchain and art, and how are we understanding actually like the thinking process of beauty. I really think that the aesthetic practice is part of philosophy and from the liberal arts. So when I was doing this, a collector came to me and tried to buy a piece, and he came to me and he asked me like, okay, what is the price of this piece? No, actually the precise question was, what is the amount of money that this piece would be for sale if it was in a market? Like, he wanted to know if somebody wants to buy the art, how much it would be eventually. And my answer was, well, that depends. And that's maybe my problem, my trouble with the art market, like forever. That is that if you ask me, I wouldn't put a price on an artwork, actually, like a fixed price, because it really depends. It's not the same if a friend wants to have the piece, or somebody that has not a lot of resources and maybe they really want your piece, or maybe some, I don't know, like big tech corporation want to have your art. I have to admit that for me, it's a very subjective and in a humble position, but for me, it's not the same. I wouldn't put a price, and it's the same because it's going to be very different. The amount of effort that somebody that don't have a lot of resources want to have my piece is a very different percentage of their wealth, what they need to put to buy my art. And maybe that's nothing for, I don't know, like a big corporation that want to put my NFT art on a huge screen on their, I don't know, on their offices, like it's not the same price for me. That's why for me, again, this disruption between price, value, and how are we going to deal with that? I think that blockchain is here to create more questions than answers. And I am excited around all this, because and I don't have like a precise question like JJ also, like I don't have like maybe a meaningful insight here, but that's my thing. I'm not super sure. I'm pretty confused, I think.
But that's an interesting approach to the viewing problem that we were saying before, right? Like, can be an art valued because of the views that it has, and how you can control that, and how you can actually retribute value on that. And I think there's a lot of platforms that are tackling that problem in different ways. I don't know, ads, right? They're fighting for your attention, but actually different types of interaction with that ad have different kinds of value, right, or price. And it's interesting how that could be applied in a particular industry like art, and having these tools we have today, if that makes any sense, right?
Yeah. If you ask me about the value of an artwork, I would love to put a percentage of your wealth, maybe a 0.00001% of your wealth, and that way, if you're poor or if you're rich, somehow it's going to be at least similar. I don't know, like I'm trying to think outside the box here in terms of price. And of course, I don't have the solution, but I don't know how the rest of the artists here feels about this, about like price and how
you're much hungry, like the price is like 2 million, if not.
yeah.
Totally.
And if you have nothing, you can take it. Like it's yours. It's free. Take it. I can do another one.
Me, as experience that I have for organizing art exhibition, when we arrive to that moment where the artist is giving the price list.
Yes, I know that moment.
And I'm working with the whole team, with different understanding, with different experience of living, and different point of views, because we are quite an international team. You're going to see different reaction for the same price. we've been, this gallery is averagely hosting like a certain like a, how can I say, like a level of purchasing, I would say, because we've been spotting into a place that we believe that it's also reaching a certain part of the population. But anyway, I have an idea like that, because once you on digital, normally you should be able to question also from the collector's point of view, what they would like to see, what they like, right? We can totally like analyze those data. Recently, we've been exhibit here one of the most prominent Vietnamese artists in Vietnam. He sold out like more than 200 paintings, averagely pricing from $8,000 to $25,000. Okay, and he was born in 1985, so quite young. Modern art, contemporary. So one more time is the ability to catch the big question, the thing that is kind of really like, put people on thinking. So that's why people, they are and it is really touching people, moving people into something that he could catch this really a gap, that was really persisting in a very persistent way, still in 2 to 3 generations of Vietnamese, right? That was, this exodus from the countryside to the city. So he really like put all the scenery of that, but in a very like he will draw, for example, like a giant papaya fruit, and then you're going to see why a papaya fruit can be that much. But behind the papaya fruit, there are a lot of questions and beliefs. For example, the papaya fruit in Vietnam is seen as the fruit of abundance. So you having a giant papaya like that will significate to any of the friends or people who's got. So we were having a lot of CEOs of companies willing to own one of his papaya, So yeah. I mean, like if we have to if as from the gallery perspective, as also a marketplace, which is happening on ground, I will see the relevancy of that moment when you exhibit an artist. That's this month, this year, what happened. So when you ask the artist, but how come you could like achieve that level? Because to me it's challenging. I don't know for you. I don't know what kind of like pricing you see, but to me, for this kind of profile, it's really, really, really good. He's been exposing everywhere. Art Basel, Hong Kong, Singapore. I mean, his art came out. So I have different like profiles of artists like that. And actually, when you ask the artist herself, he said that actually before I paint, I have to really like read a lot. I really want my art to to be useful. So this is his way. Yeah, I'm just like sharing with you his experience. So, and then when he deliver, no artist I think can guarantee that it's going to be a success or not. But it happens that he could. So there are some artists, I would say, they have this sensitivity. They can catch what makes people thinking, or what are their their questions, and they put it so well that it makes a very like a general assumption that a lot of people wants to own, but then there's only one piece, right? So.
And that's interesting, right? Like talking about,
and
like,
then you can
value,
use
right?
the data, and then you can use the data. For example, you're having a market place. The difference between you and I, it's like you can study right now the profiles of those collectors, the profiles of the people who are coming on your platform. You can study them. You can understand the age. Which part of the world are they mostly? What are the questions? What are their challenges? What are the things that moves them? And you can catch that into music, into things, because art cannot necessarily stand alone. Also, should match with your space, with your I don't know your outfit, your there's trends also for colors, and we've been doing in a lot of things into branding for hotels. it's a whole combination of a lot of things. So I think that what is interesting to me, to tell you the truth about those kind of digital platforms, like now we can study more the profiles, right? So I believe that in the other side, the artist is crossing that question with his style, of course, and with his opinion, of course. Then you're having a greater chance, and I believe that this is also a common starting point value for art. You will secure people interested.
How are you as artists, Barbara, Osinachi, or Mariano,
how do you
like value your work when you have to post some work on a digital platform? Maybe Mariano, you already answered that question, right? But Osinachi, you do your own like word kind of art, and then you post it
research?
in some,
What are the things?
in some platform, or Barbara, you are posting your artwork in Ephimera. See, how do you decide the price of it? Because it's not about value there, right? It's like the value, I don't know, it's
Exactly.
subjective, it's like about perspective, and it's, as Mariano was saying, it's like depending on the target of the art, the person that will buy it. Like there are a lot of different points of view in order to
set the price,
maybe, but then like here, in order to set the price in a digital marketplace as an NFT that has a lot of signification in different verticals or layers, right? Like it can be about a vision, it can be about like I don't know, like
and how do you proceed? How do you proceed? How do you proceed? Also,
how do you say this piece of art is $5,000 in this platform?
First of all, like we all know, each platform is unique on its own. You can decide to have an auction. You can decide to have a buy now price for a piece. But then when I started out, I didn't have the whole pricing thing in my head. I just wanted to sell my work, have people collect my piece. But recently, I've come to realize that the artist has to make some conscious decisions in terms of pricing, taking into consideration that collectors have your work in their collection, people who believe in your work, who believe that putting in, say, 1 ETH to buy this work, in a few months' time or in a few years' time, they should get, say, 50% increase in that, let's say 50 ETH from the piece and all that. So what I do is to consciously ensure that the price for each new piece I have minted is higher, if not in a huge value, but at least a little way, so that it shows growth for me as an artist. That's number one. Aside from showing growth for me as an artist, it also assures collectors who have my work of the value of an Osinachi. Because going below what you've sold in the past would mean that your work is being devalued, if you look at it like that. And from what is happening in the space, not much people are collecting work just for the aesthetic. It's a sort of investment for them, and they want to make money from it. So these are the things I take into consideration. Each piece I put out, each new piece I put out, has to do better in terms of pricing compared to the rest. That is when you're calculating in dollars, not in ETH. We have this bull run happening in Ether now, and you just have to calculate and look at the value in US dollars and ensure that at least you add a few dollars to the newly released work so that you build confidence in collectors.
Yeah,
I think this brings up another point, which is that there's no real there's no mechanism for price discovery in crypto art right now that everyone can rely on.
I agree.
Right now, it's still so new that and the highs are so high and the lows are basically free that how do we deal with this? I mean, it's the problem that we have on our site is that we're trying to think of, okay, what are new ways that we can use to introduce better price discovery, or at least better market signaling, right? Because if you're an artist and you set a banner price or a buy it now price, you're signaling to the market what you think the value is, but you're still allowing people to bid under that. Super Rare recently introduced the 24-hour auction. It's a timed auction, and it ends at a certain block. And so I think that that's also a really interesting price discovery mechanism where you're forcing people to commit to a certain bid, and then the auction's over, kind of like how in a traditional auction it works. So to me, it's not clear yet. I think that, to Betty's point, data is definitely a big part of that. As the market grows and as there's more art being sold and as artists have more of a history, that's another point, is a lot of crypto artists don't have a long history. They may be well known, but maybe they've only sold 10 pieces of work. And is that really enough data to go on to determine the value of their 11th piece of work, right? So price discoverability is a big issue. And we're seeing some data platforms come out where they're trying to compare prices across, like, okay, you've sold for this amount on Super Rare and this amount on Origin and this amount on Maker's Place. What is your average price? Like that kind of data didn't exist before. All the marketplaces were totally siloed. So as those data platforms come out and as they get more sophisticated, I think that the price discoverability problem will be, a little bit less of a problem, and we might get some more insight into pricing trends, and it'll give a little bit more confidence to the artists that are marketing themselves. What do I offer my piece at?
Well, I have this position about this. I think I'm happy that somebody wants to solve this also, because I know that for sure if you want to get a living of it, of art and of investment on art and market, this is also interesting. In another way, I'm have the same difficult moment as Boris. When I have to price something, to me it's a complete different thing, because really I have the same question in mind. Who would want this piece? Sometimes I play it, or like I tell myself how much is the value for me. So you can see my pieces are from zero, let's bid, or zero, 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 because I made a lot, because I want just people want to spread this as a message. And other, I set the value higher because maybe I remember all the story that I had to finish this piece, and I'm telling it through the price. But I feel like it's still difficult. And also this data, well, in a way it's nice that you can track data, because somehow you are like your action are there. But when data see that I've sold these pieces at 0.000 and one other at 1 Ether, then okay, what's the price? If you make a medium, that's not good, because you don't know what was behind this decision. I decided to make a lot of gifts this year, so for free, and well, it's a point that I'm thinking about. I'm happy that there are many things different. So why not to sell high and have some fortune on? But I don't really get the point of the value of the artist on price still. I'm sorry, but this connection to me always have been difficult. This is my difficult opinion,
one of the things that one of the commenters was saying just now is about like when you price your art in Ether or other cryptos that they have a huge valuation, right? If you have to analyze that in a future time, it's like is value coming from the currency that was invested? Because like if Ether today is like $1,000, right, or I don't know 1,100, but maybe in 2 years it's like I don't know $20,000. How much was that art value?
Or
It's like
nothing.
one Ether or yeah or nothing, whatever. You're right, but I said like is
For
is
everybody.
that $1,000 is like zero or is like $20,000? It's like how do you actually can appreciate that into this like different kind of ecosystem of currencies and how it works, right? Like it's a hard question, I think.
It's a hard
Right
one. I don't.
to risk.
I mean, it does has a meaning like to buy with the crypto and art. It adds value to it. It doesn't.
I have a short one there. I think that I'm not going to give a direct answer. I almost never do. I'm sorry. But what I was thinking about that is that the notion of value of an artwork, it has volatility inside of it. Like that's why I think that the crypto market and the art world can really relate to each other, because again, like we were saying, I don't know, like a Picasso work or whatever, like a very famous painting, it doesn't have, even in dollars, in fiat money, the price is volatile also, and it changes with the years, and sometimes it increases and sometimes it decreases. So I really don't find this as a huge challenge. I mean, as a huge challenge, as a new challenge, I would say. I think that this is the same challenge that we've been facing in the art community. That is, again, how are we relating, and this notion of value and the notion of price, and how are we going to try to get into the same table and use the same parameters to measure. But I think that it's going to change, and if you want to keep something that is going to be like an asset that is going to remain its value, I don't think that we should approach the art practice only with the speculative mind. I think the speculative market is always going to be part of the art market, but it's not going to be the only one, and the price is going to isolate, to be volatile also.
Yeah. I think that the point I wanted to do is like whenever you like invest into like you take a loan in Bitcoin, right? You take a loan in Bitcoin. You have to repay in Bitcoin, right?
Mm-hmm.
You buy a painting in Bitcoin. You say, how does that particular thing affect the value of the painting in the future, right? Because that's interesting part
It's a good
of
one.
it. You bought it with that coin. It's like you're taking I don't know, like but that relationship is like super intrinsic on the currency that was bought with, right? So you say how that is reflected over the time and the changes of the currency itself is quite an interesting question. I don't know, JJ. Yeah.
This is why I mentioned that in terms of valuation for my piece, I go with US dollars because of the volatility of either. 14 either could worth over $10,000 today, and tomorrow it becomes 7,000 or 5,000 or even 1,000. It depends. Even marketplaces, when they are looking at the number of sales they have made and want to inform collectors about big sales for a week, go with US dollars. So personally, I go with US dollars. That is why I would want at least a little bit of dollars to be, to come into a new pricing for a new piece that I've released. If I sold the last one for $1,500, which is roughly 1 ETH right now, I would want to sell the net for say $1,700, and tomorrow, 1,700 could also be 1/8. So in terms of valuation, I personally like to go with fiat in relation vis-a-vis ETH.
I think that the volatility of ETH is actually, it hurts more than it helps the art market. That's my personal opinion, because the more volatile ETH is, the more that you have this possibility of making a lot of money with ETH, the less likely you are to, there's a big opportunity cost. When you purchase art with ETH, you're saying that part of you is thinking, well, maybe this art is going to be worth more than ETH is in the future, or at least that you're willing to get rid of, you're willing to not participate in the future price appreciation of ETH, right? And so I think that that's like, cryptocurrencies don't really act like, considering how volatile they are, they're really acting more like commodities right now. And, would you trade 1 ounce of gold for this artwork? I don't know. Would someone make that same transaction? It's hard it's a much more difficult question than when ETH is always at $150 or always at $500. We looked at stablecoin integration on Ephimera, and I think technically we're just not there yet. But I think in the future, we're going to see that more and more, where you're going to see, like on OpenSea, there's people who list their artwork and die. And that, to me, if you can remove that, like, well, is my ETH going to appreciate in the future? If you can remove that mindset, then I think that it's a little bit healthier for the art market. Go ahead.
I think that there's something interesting also in terms of technology. I don't know, maybe Leon can help us here, but the nature of the multi-tokens and different protocols that maybe give us the opportunity to melt and to melt the tokens into money directly, into fiat directly, or into another crypto directly. That's also something that can, I don't know, in the near future, give us some opportunity to navigate this pricing problem that we're facing.
But you're not getting away from the issue of, do I want to give up my ETH, right?
No, you're not. I agree. I know you're not.
That's the real problem.
Yeah, I agree. And then if you're doing it with a stable coin, you're also not going to get around the problem, because you're also going to have the reference of the fiat money. I think that it's something that definitely is a challenge, an interesting challenge for everyone in the art community to face.
There's a comment here by Bard on Facebook, who says about none of the crypto art platforms offer the artists access to the weblogs. I think that brings up an interesting point as well about blockchain, which is that because we're using MetaMask, because our users use MetaMask to log into our platform, we don't really have a whole lot of insight to who our users are. I mean, I can tell you what their IP address is, but most people I know use crypto through a VPN. So is that really relevant? Google Analytics is not super useful for determining, anything meaningful about collectors. It'll tell you who's looking at the piece, but, maybe some popular page retweeted it and it got a bunch of clicks. Doesn't mean that the collectors are going to buy from those particular locations. And I think that while we're like democratizing access to the content and the platforms, we're also removing some of that kind of metadata about ourselves, that information about where are we from, who are we? We really don't know we have collectors that bid on our site. We have no idea who they are. We don't know where they came from. We don't know how they found us. And that some of them, they show up on Discord a couple days later and ask a question, and then we can put 2 and 2 together. But, right now, there's not really a useful way to find out who these people are. And so that, too, is an interesting thing for the market, because right now, crypto art's completely deregulated. Right. And so our crypto art platform is going to have to introduce KYC in the future, for example. I think they probably will. But yeah, exactly. So I think that they probably will, but we're also not going to be able to release that information. If I have to collect KYC information about my users, and where they live and what their country of residence is and what their real names are, I can't give that out. I don't feel comfortable giving that out, right? That's a disservice to the user. And so, privacy also means that we don't have these answers. And I think that it means that there's just that much more, it's that much more important to build platforms where we can, build the community, right? It can't just be Discord or just one little space in CryptoVoxels. If you as an artist really want to get to know your collectors right now, there's really no place, there's no one answer to that problem. And I think we need to be moving towards that.
Agreed. I was going to sorry, please, Osinachi, please go.
For what I understand, in the space, since I've been in the space, anonymity is important to a lot of players in the space, especially collectors and artists. You don't know who has collected a particular piece. All you know is that this collector's name is well sharp. You don't know their legal name. You don't know where they're located, and all that. JJ, do you think that it is important for marketplaces like Ephimera to know who exactly is doing what on that space? For example, who the collector is, their legal name, where they are, other information, and who the artist is also. Do you think it's important?
I don't think so. I mean, it's really a choice from the user. I think as a marketplace, in an ideal world, yes, maybe we would make different decisions if we knew all of the personal details of all of the people that ever use our platform. Maybe there would be some grand insight that we could use to build a better platform. But I think that that's almost, I don't think that really exists. I think ultimately all we can do is look at the actions that the users take, whether that's, if they create a profile on Ephimera, are they putting their Twitter profile, on their user profile, right? Are they putting their Instagram? Are they allowing us to learn more about them? And I think the action of them allowing us to learn more about them is also relevant to how we want to interact with them, right? Because ultimately we do tend to trust people more the more open they are with us, or at least the more that they, communicate with us beyond just an ETH address, right? And so I think that if there are if none of our users are putting on their Twitter profiles, for example, I think that signals something about the marketplace, and maybe we need to change something. But ultimately, I don't think that if we knew everything about our users, that we would necessarily build a different product. Ultimately, it's really, we're trying to build a platform where artists and collectors can collaborate together, where they can interact together. Whether we're building that or someone else is building that, I think it would likely look the same regardless of how much information we had about our users.
Mariano,
I'm sorry, I lost the question because
Mariano was about to say something.
No, it's okay. It's okay, guys. Actually, it was just a short one to JJ. I was going to ask, how do you decide how do you show the work? Because there is that's my curator betraying me and trying to think, okay, how do you organize the work besides having some filters that I know that you have on your platform? How do you decide who do you show the first? How do you administrate even the space in the screen? I think I would go nuts if I have to do that decision. So I would love to know what were your criteria to do that.
We did go nuts for a little while there.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
It's not easy. It's really not easy. Discoverability on all the crypto art platforms is a problem that we haven't solved yet. There's search filters, but then people need to know what to look for. We also don't want to, I think the big part is the default sorting. what do you default to? Do you default to only the highest value art?
That's the problem. Default is always
And we can't do that. For us, the only default that makes sense is who's created today. It's just a chronological ordering, and then providing, getting in touch with our artists directly and helping them create content that's going to help bring, eyes onto that particular piece that they created. I think that crypto moves so fast that we are almost expect that whatever is the most recent to be the better, to be the best, that newer is always better. When I think that there's a lot of work that has been, there's work that's created like 2 weeks ago that no one's looking at because it's 2 weeks old. That to me, it doesn't do value to the art because the art is still just as good as if it was created today. And so there's no easy answer to that, actually.
Okay.
It's something that we talk about every day. I think that it's really a combination of the platform and also the artist. There are some artists who are really clever and good at doing marketing and at selling themselves and at getting known, at doing panel discussions like this, getting their face out there. Those people are naturally going to have more eyeballs on their art, regardless of where it shows up in the Ephimera marketplace page.
Yeah.
And so it's not easy. I mean, I almost think that we should just do a random sorting of art and not put.
Yeah, but random is never random. Also, yeah.
Well, I mean, it could be as usefully random as we can make it, but just in the sense that you don't want people to necessarily only look at the newest stuff, only look at the oldest stuff,
For sure.
look at the most expensive, the least expensive, the most popular, right? It's and also, people as they explore crypto art, right now I don't think everybody has an idea of I only like this art. There are a lot of traditional collectors who are like, oh, I only buy this particular type of watercolor. I only buy this particular type of sculpture. In crypto art right now, it's just an explosion of creativity and it's a learning process for collectors who are, I scroll through Rarible and there's like a million different, things that are on there. And it's really difficult for me to figure out what do I really like? Or if I'm scrolling through Super Rare or Ephimera.
Sure.
And so I think that it's also this kind of like, we're so early in this industry that we all have to go through these learning processes to we're really learning more about ourselves. And if there's more collectors who know what they like, it's easier to build products for those people.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Of course. This is what I was like thinking when I was talking about the way that we're gonna bring art, to people, because it's true. You just said something which is also, I mean, kind of like a threat, because if there's too much, then I cannot see all the opportunities that I have. So I will be pending, on this transaction deal closed, and then I will be like, okay, I didn't see enough. So, okay, tomorrow I go next. And then, because if you said that now it gives access, and then suddenly you're having millions of artists and millions, art piece. It can take me like 10 years before I decide to buy one or two. So that's also the other way. But I mean, part of the threat. So of course we are at the very beginning. So that's why we need. I think that we should add some probably AI by intuitive kind of like approach also, because of course from the art itself, not the artist or the piece of art, but for the sake of the art, of course art is art, and it should be diverse, and it should be like kind of like unlimited. I think that nobody challenged that. But then if there's too many things on the market, then how do you make the deal close?
There's a very interesting thing, and it's related very closely with crypto more than with art. But I'm thinking an analogy to kind of give a potential idea of something that we could do, right? I have a very good friend that created this open source platform for creating trading algorithms. So basically, you have a lot of different tools that you can use in order to drive your bot, right? And you create different strategies. They are based on indicators. Indicators can be filters or whatever in a crypto art platform. Right? It can be this is I don't know, a feed of news. It can be based on real estates of things, how many views. It can be different like indicators that you can create, and then it's very particular platform because the bots that actually people create, they have the possibility of participating in competitions, right? And basically these competitions of the algo bots, the algorithm that made them the most of the money, right, is an algorithm that goes open source. So everybody has access to those indicators and those things. And it could be interesting to allow that kind of synergy of people creating their own strategies to find things. Yes. And then, if you really like this person or the art that he likes, then, you can use the same tools in order to find the arts or the collections that you like the most, right? This platform is called superalgos.org. So if you want to check it out, like it's quite interesting. I just find it very, very interesting how that kind of mechanism can be applied to any kind of industry, because it's totally open source, right? And everybody can create tools on top of it in order to have that personalized experience, but also to take advantage of others' strategies, and to be able to see it in the eyes of others. This is quite interesting. And I'm sorry, but I think we are very, very close to the end. So if you want to say something before we close the live stream, like this is the moment.
Yeah, I wanted to say that the NFT space has come, of course, with a lot of innovations. One thing we didn't mention during the panel is that for the first time in the history of art, the artist is sure about getting 10% royalty when a sale happens in the secondary market of their work. And that is a really wonderful thing, because for years, artists have been denied that. Most of the spoils have been carried by collectors who, most of the time, flip an artwork. And I think that's a great thing. That's one of the things that's going to consolidate the space and attract a lot of artists also.
Nice.
Yeah, true. Very good point.
Nice.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for being participant here in the panel, and also for the viewers for supporting us and also making interesting questions and being participants of the conversation. So we're closing for today, but hopefully we're going to be doing more AMAs around crypto arts in the following months, like at least one monthly. So again, thank you everybody, and
thank you. Was
see you
super
next
nice.
time.
Thank you. It's nice
Stay
to
strong
meet you.
there. Stay safe.
Very nice.
Bye bye. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.